This is Tanisha J. Welcome to Cosmic Roots, where we read cosmic codes written in the soul's path. If this is your first time here, come in, get comfortable, and settle into the energy. If you're returning, welcome back, and let's begin another divine journey together. Before we get into readings, let's do some housekeepings. Always remember, tarot reading and astrology reading is for spiritual insight and reflection only. It is not for professional advisement. And also remember, please use your discernment. What resonates, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. All messages shared here are for the intention of healing, awareness, and collective growth. Now, let's turn to the reading we have today. The reading we have today is the Cosmic Codes of Afeni and Tupac Shakur, generational revolutionaries and visionaries. This is a bloodline that goes deep. Now let's get into it. Afeni natal chart. Afeni was born in Lumberton, North Carolina, January 10th, 1947. We don't have a date of time of her birth. However, we sat it into the 12 p.m. and the chart that came through was her first house, the soul's arrival. And her soul's arrival, that's incarnation. She comes back rooted into Taurus. And so she comes as a protector. Not only does she come as a protector, she comes as a protector to tell us that we are worthy. We are worthy and we are who we think we are and not what others are telling us. So she comes in already stating we are worthy of equality. We are worthy of all rights reserved. We are worthy to live and to live a decent life. And then as we move into the second house has North Node. North Node is when they're asking her to evolve. Come evolve from what you have experienced, from what you have learned, and put it as wisdom. And we have Uranus there. Uranus is retro, which I always look at retrograde as an inner reflection coming back in. And both lies into Gemini. And when I see Gemini, that's the voice. So if she's coming in with a voice and speaking and breaking liberation through her voice, that tells me previously that the previous lineage felt silence was safety. Silence was safety, putting your head down and moving along to survive another day was safety. But in her second house, she's coming to say, no, it's not safety. We have to speak of all the wrongs. We have to speak of the inequality. We have to speak and protect ourselves. And through her entire life work, you actually see it because she not only defended the Panthers 21, she was an advocate for the community and going against slumlords and also going against inequality when there were people being charged and punished for the for and with charges that was not true. Now, I want to navigate into this fourth house because this fourth house, I always look at it, which is the soul's root. The soul's root always reminds me, I get this vision of our ancestors coming through the slave ship on the soul's root because this was the foundation that we were kind of etched into. And I always get it. I always get a, how should I put it? With Saturn and Leo in there, it makes me feel like this was a rough spot of us coming in. And with Saturn and Leo there, it's stating that because with the fourth house soul's root, that is lineage, that is foundation, that is emotional. And with Saturn there, and we all know Saturn is a lesson. We all know Saturn is the karmic elder. And Leo also is a light bearer, and Leo is also the person who learns who learns a lot and brings things to who brings things forth. And with that Leo there, it tells me the maternal lineage held unresolved patterns. They were forced to be removed. There was a cultural rupture, and there was rapid things they had to adapt to and to becoming something they weren't meant to survive. And she held that memory of that family before the breaking. And that's a heavy thing to carry. And with that Saturn there, again, she has retrograde and a reflection in Leo there, it comes back as a light bearer, and it comes back to say, yes, we have went through all of this. Yes, we, and also not only that we went through, I feel like, 'cause I don't know why, in her chart, I feel like I know my history, I know who we are. However, I know who we are, and it's the knowing of who we were before we came here to be enslaved. It's the knowing of who we were before you stated and deemed us as maids, as working on a farm. Like it's like she's saying, I know who I am. And in that fifth house, because I'm going to navigate, because that fourth house is saying, I remember who I am and I know who I am, and you will not be able to break me and not remind me of who I am. And I'm coming with that force to remind you of who I am. And we can go back and trace that. Like, okay, that first house said, I'm worthy. That second house said, I'm going to speak about this and be liberated about the things I'm going through. And that fourth house comes back again in tune with those other two houses to say, I know who I am and I know my worth, and this is who I am, and I'm not going to allow you to deem me any different. Now, within that fifth house, as we navigate to the fifth house, she has Pluto in Leo, and she also has the moon in Virgo. Now, let's begin first with the Pluto in Leo in that fifth house. The fifth house is the house of creativity. The fifth house is the house of joy denied. So within that fifth house, she's coming in to basically from the fourth to the fifth house. She's coming in and she's saying that she's going to transmute it through Pluto. So she's built to transmute it through Pluto and Leo again, to remind that you are not here to steal our joy. We know who we are, we know what we deserve, and we're creating our own joy, and we're not going to be denied of our lineage and who we are. We're going to have the right to be visible. We're going to create from love and not survival. And that was her domain. She was the alchemist. She was preparing the conditions. And even with that, because that moon is the emotion within, hold on, let me go back to the chart. Her moon in Virgo, she becomes the sacred healer. And with that Pluto in Leo, that's how she becomes the sacred healer, of transmuting the changes and removing and breaking things away that no longer service the lineage. And when we say no longer service the lineage, the things that were denied to us, and there were so many things that were denied to us of our lineage. But one of the things, she believed that we shouldn't just be surviving. We should be thriving. We should be in our joy. We should have everything in equality. We should not be discriminated. We should be thriving. And she was the sacred healer in that. She was, and as you can see, she was the sacred healer because she was the one who was speaking. She was the one going forth. She was the one putting in notice, like, hey, this is wrong. This is inequality. This is not what we are supposed to have. We're just asking for simple, resources, simple things that we should have just as a citizen of the United States. And so as we go to the sixth house and we navigate to the sixth house, I don't know if I will, because her vertex, I'm actually going into it's not what I'm not supposed to be going to, but let's just do it. And then we're going to move on to the 10th house. But as we go into the 6th house, her vertex is in Libra. And also, her Neptune is in Libra. She's coming here. This is a turning point. Her vertex is a turning point. Neptune to me is always this disillusion. Dissolving the disillusion that people give us, the illusion that they give us of what our joy, of what our healing should be, because the 6th house is the healing house, and she's coming here in the turning point. This is where she heals us. As remember now, her moon is in Virgo, the sacred healer. So as she comes in with the moon, and there's so much more. There's so much more with that Virgo also there being the boulder and creating our joy in as the sacred healer with her voice and everything. But here in the 6th house, that vertex in Libra and that Neptune, she's dissolving what is our joy, our healing. She's coming in and she's saying we're no longer waiting for it. We are taking it, and it's going to be, and we're taking it, and it's going to be what we need and who we are to heal. Now, remember within Libra is like we said, Libra, sometimes I look at Libra as pleasers, people pleasers. When you're doing the containment of a low vibrational energy. But we have to remember, she already said, I'm going to use my voice in that second house. So she's using that voice to heal us. She's using that voice to bring equal balance back into, and also Ma'at is also, I feel she represents the Libra. So she's coming in with that Ma'at energy. If you don't know Ma'at is the goddess, is a goddess. And with the wings and everything. I may put a picture up there. But she comes in with that energy to say, I'm putting back equally balanced, and I'm dissolving all the illusions and untruth that you were selling us, making us think that was what we were old. But she's coming to say, well, I'm healing and I'm dissolving all the untruth, and I'm speaking it with that Gemini in the second house of our worth and what we're deemed. So let's go to the 10th house. Now with the 10th house, she has her public 10th house is the public legacy. She has the sun and Mercury in Capricorn. She built something to last. Her legacy, structural, methodical, because that Capricorn is the methodical way that she built it. Pass forward as transmissible knowledge. The sun illuminates it. Mercury speaks it. Capricorn makes it permanent. And once the foundation was laid, the lineage answered back through her son. Not to repeat her work, not to amplify it. What Afeni carried is in its structure, is carried in structure, Tupac would carry through sound. So, as we said, her chart is the chart of the rooted protector. Her chart is the architecture for Tupac to come through and also continue in that bloodline of visionaries and revolutionaries. Now we move to Tupac chart. Within Tupac chart, Tupac the flame, I call him the flame. He's the cosmic messenger of the lineage, he was coming through June 16th, 1971, East Harlem, New York at 12:15. That is when Tupac was born. And so we begin first in his first house, the soul's arrival. In his soul's arrival, first house, he has a placement of Pluto and Lilith and Uranus. To me, those placements in itself already comes in hard. It already comes in demanding. So in his soul arrival, he is already a rupture. He is a soul incarnated, breaking the old code to deconstruct what oppressed the lineage and to restore balance rooted in human rights. He did not arrive gently, not with those those placements. Pluto, Pluto comes to break and awaken and to break apart the foundation that no longer serve us. Lilith is the one who said, I dare you not to tell me what to do, how to do it. And Uranus, again, another liberator. So he came in hot. And now in his voice, the third house, the soul's voice in his third house, he holds Jupiter in Scorpio and Neptune in Sagittarius. Dang, he has a lot of stuff. And this is where he becomes the alchemist using intellect, writing, language to excavate hidden pain, buried ancestral truth, the lies told to condition a people. And Neptune deepened that into philosophy. His words weren't just music, they were a counter narrative, precise, purposeful, fighting the repeated lie with a different kind of knowing. And eventually, the voice became impossible to ignore. There's so many songs he's done that has become and still used to this day. They got they got money for wars, but not to feed the poor. And now as we move into his 10th house, his ancestral legacy, he has Sun, Mercury, and Fortune all in Gemini, the divine messenger, fully aligned, the illuminated communicator whose legacy become a beacon. The lineage still follows. And this is not an accident. This is a cosmic threshold passage. I apologize, I had to stop for a moment, but let's get back into Tupac's chart. So we were in the 10th house, and we were saying that it became, his placements are like a beacon to the lineage still follows. It's not an accident. This is a cosmic threshold. And as we said before, his music is not nostalgia. It's still working. We're still repeating it. And it's as if he were here today, his songs still are speaking about things that are happening today. Now let's move and navigate into the 12th house. The 12th house, the house of ancestral release. He holds the sign of a sacred healer, Virgo. His lyrics were acting of tending. His lyrics were acts of tending, nursing what the lineage could not say out loud. The fertility was in the words. But the deeper revelation appears when we stop reading these charts separately and we begin reading them as a bloodline conversation. So now we're going into the lineage movement, how the bloodline evolved through both of them. What becomes undeniable in these charts in the placements is not simply repeat themselves, they evolved through the lineage. Afeni's Shakur carried the foundation. Tupac Shakur carried the amplification. Afeni's sun in Capricorn in the 10th house reveals a woman asked with building lasting structure through public legacy, discipline, activism, and survival. Capricorn does not move emotional first, it bows for endurance. Her revolutionary work was architectural. She created systems of resistance, political consciousness, and community grounding, meant to outlive her physical body. Then the lineage evolves. Tupac's sun in Gemini in the 10th house transforms that structure into a voice, language, storytelling, and transmission. What Afeni built, Tupac communicated. His music became more than entertainment, it became a living archive, a community time vault carrying the emotional, political, and spiritual realities of the era. She built the framework, he became the signal moving it through. And the Jupiter placements deepened the influence. Afeni carried Jupiter in Scorpio in the 7th house. Expansion through confronting hidden power, structures, oppressive relationships, betrayal, and collective trauma. Her wisdom came through direct engagement of the systems that wounded her people. Scorpio demanded excavation. The 7th house forced confrontation into public and relational space. Tupac inherited Jupiter retrograde in Scorpio in the 3rd house. The same Scorpio wisdom moved inward and became language. His expansion came, excuse me, his expansion came through communication, writing, testimony, and intellectual exposure of hidden truth. What Afeni confronted through activism, Tupac translated through voice. His lyrics became emotional excavations, revealing the psychological, spiritual, and societal burdens buried beneath survival. The lineage did not lose the message, it changed form. And then we arrive at the wounded medicine carried between them. Afeni's Chiron in Scorpio in the 7th house reveals the ancestral wound of silence within oppressive structures and relationships. Her healing work was refusing to protect systems that harmed her community simply to maintain survival. But Tupac's Chiron in Aries in the 8th house evolves that wound into a sacred fire. The silence becomes confrontation, the pain becomes ignition. Aries transforms inherited rage into protective force. While the 8th house demands ancestral death and rebirth, Tupac did not simply inherit the wound. He externalized it publicly so the collective could no longer ignore it. When Afeni excavated, Tupac ignited. Afeni's Lilith, in Sagittarius in the 9th house carry revolutionary philosophy, expanded consciousness, and liberating wisdom. She challenged belief systems that conditioned Black communities to accept limitation, fear, and silence. Her rebellion lived in knowledge. But Tupac's Lilith in Libra, 1st house, made that rebellion visible. He embodied disruption. His very presence, public balance, social narratives, respectability, politics, and culture comfort. Where Afeni carried revolutionary thought, Tupac incarnated revolutionary visibility. The lineage moved from structure to sound, from wisdom to testimony, from excavation to ignition, from revolutionary philosophy to embodied presence. This was never random. This was ancestral continuation. What you heard is not a biography, it's not a music history, it's ancestral astrology, the reading of a lineage through the language of the cosmos. This was a bloodline conversation. When we look at these two charts together, we are witnessing more than mother and son. We are witnessing lineage continuation, a revolutionary blueprint passed from womb to voice, from survival to testimony, from silence to signal. This is what ancestral astrology work reveals, that our lives are not random. Afeni did not accidentally raise a revolutionary, and Tupac Shakur did not accidentally become the voice of a generation. The chart shows us what the bloodline was always moving toward, what it had carried, what it was built to confront, and what it was given to transform. A rooted protector who broke the silence of survival, a cosmic messenger who turned that broken silence into the sound that the world still lives inside of, a mother who built the foundation, a son who stood on it and was heard across time. Some bloodline pass down wealth, some pass down survival, and some pass down assignments. What truth within your lineage are you now being asked to speak aloud? Until next time, may the ancestors guide your steps and the stars illuminate your path.